I work as a night mechanic at a small auto repair shop on the outskirts of town. Usually, my shifts are quiet. Customers rarely come in, and when they do, it's usually for urgent repairs or accidents. That evening, everything was quiet. I was checking the equipment and putting away tools, getting ready for my colleagues to arrive in the morning. The clock struck midnight, and a man in a dirty jacket walked in. He asked me to check his car, saying that the engine was making strange noises. I carefully inspected the car and told him that it might take a few hours to diagnose the problem. While I was working, the man sat in the corner and said nothing. His gaze was tense, and he occasionally looked toward the door, as if he was afraid someone would come in. I tried to keep up a conversation, but he responded briefly, avoiding questions. Time passed slowly, and it seemed to me that the atmosphere was becoming increasingly tense. The work was complicated because the man constantly interrupted me with questions and glances at the entrance. At around 1 a.m., I heard a loud bang coming from the neighboring garage. I jumped up and went to check, but it was empty, just an open door and some tools lying around. I returned to the customer, who now looked even more nervous. At that moment, my boss called and asked me to describe the situation. I told him about the man and the strange incident. My boss suggested calling the police if I felt threatened. Soon, the man said he wanted to take the car and leave. I warned him that I couldn't give him a warranty without a diagnostic check, but he insisted and left. An hour later, the police received a call. Someone was trying to break into cars in the area. The police arrived and took my statement. I described the man and what I had seen. The law enforcement officers said they would check the camera recordings and conduct an investigation. A few days later, the police reported that the suspect had not been found. The camera recordings were incomplete due to technical problems. I was asked to be more vigilant and to report any suspicious customers immediately. I began to patrol the area more often, checking the gates and doors. My colleagues told me that such incidents do happen, but not often. At that moment, I realized that night work always carries the risk of encountering unpredictable situations. Although the incident was never logically resolved, I felt that I now approached my work with greater attention and caution. Safety is paramount, especially at night. After the incident, we installed additional cameras and alarms. Now I am confident that I will be able to react more quickly if something like this happens again. The work has become more stressful, but I know that such measures help to avoid trouble. I try not to relax and always stay alert. This story reminded me that the night shift is not only about repairs and tools, but also about responsibility for safety and order. And although the criminal was never found, I am not going to allow such situations to happen again. I was looking for a used bike and decided to check out the ads on Craigslist. After a couple of days, I found a suitable option. The seller promised good condition and a price below market value. We agreed to meet in the evening at his house to inspect the bike and pay for the purchase. The seller said he lived in a quiet neighborhood and there would be no problems. On the day of the meeting, I arrived a little early and waited. The house looked well kept and the yard was clean. When the seller came out, he seemed polite, but I noticed that he was looking at me too closely. We went to the garage where the bike was parked. While I was looking at it, the seller started asking questions about my work and personal life, which I found strange. During the inspection, I noticed that several parts of the bike did not match the description. I asked the seller why this was the case. He became nervous and suggested bargaining. Then I noticed a car with blurred license plates parked in the yard behind the house. This made me suspicious, and I decided to politely decline the deal. The seller insisted, saying that the deal was almost done. I tried to leave, but the garage door slammed shut on its own, and the street suddenly went dark. At that moment, I realized that the situation was getting out of control. I called a friend who lived nearby and asked him to come over. The seller heard the phone ring and, apparently frightened, opened the door, allowing me to leave. I immediately called the police and told them what had happened. The officers arrived quickly, inspected the house and the car, took fingerprints, and questioned me. It turned out that this man had been seen earlier in suspicious transactions and may be linked to thefts. The police launched an investigation, but no arrests have been made yet. I was warned to be more careful and advised to check information about sellers through official sources. I realized that such transactions over the internet can be dangerous. After that, I decided to look for a bike in reputable stores and avoid questionable offers. This situation taught me not to trust my first impression and to always check the details. A simple transaction could have turned into a problem if I hadn't been careful. Work and life sometimes require attentiveness and vigilance, especially when it comes to personal safety. I told this story to my friends to warn them about similar situations. Now I know that caution is never unnecessary. Those nights reminded me that risks can lurk behind routine tasks, and it is better to be prepared for any surprises. Thank you for watching this video to the end. If you liked these stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like it. This way, you will support the creation of new, realistic, and interesting stories. See you in the next videos, and be careful.